As we begin with the formal introductions of New York Life representatives and City of Atlanta ambassadors, I think it's appropriate to acknowledge how excited we are at New York Life to be able to proclamate and develop such a mutually beneficial partnership with this great city and the businesses that create its economy. The partnership I'm referring to is entitled the $50 billion Empowement Program. This program is not only tangible, but quite imaginative, innovative, desirable. The program is focused on placing $50 billion of future tax-free income into our communities throughout the nation. And the City of Atlanta is committed to being an integral part of this vision, and we're thankful. If we can only imagine the possibilities of this program's fruition, how much crime can we eliminate from the streets due to more economic opportunity? How many new business owners can realize their dreams? How many marriages can we save due to less financial stress? These are clarities that I think we can all look forward to as we embark on this journey to uplift our communities. The first gentleman I would like to introduce today is the senior pastor of the historic Ebenezer Baptist Church, Reverend Dr. Raphael Warnock.
Will you bow with me in prayer? Gracious and loving God, you are the giver of every good and perfect gift. We thank you for the promises of this new morning. For morning by morning, new mercies we see. We thank you for gathering us together in this way. Make us mindful that you are the God who came that we might have life, abundant life, on this side, eternal life on the other side. You are the God who gives us power to obtain wealth, not for ourselves but that we might spread it abroad and realize the coming of your kingdom where there is enough for all of God's children. And so bless now this city of Atlanta. We hear the promise of the psalmist who said that God is in the midst of the city. She shall not be moved. God shall help her when the morning comes. There is a river whose stream shall make glad the city of God. Make us all glad. Lift us up to a new level in our humanity. And help us to build together the city of God, where the leaves on the trees are good for the healing of the nations. We ask this prayer in the name of the one who is our Lord and Liberator. Amen.
The next gentleman I'd like to introduce today is the founder, the intelligence behind the $50 billion Empowerment Program. I want everyone to put their hands together for Mr. Eugene Mitchell.
A little bit tall here, if I may. Good morning, everyone. Can we make it a little bit louder than that? Good morning. Thank you. It's truly an honor and a pleasure to be here down from New York City on this hot and sunny summer day here in Atlanta. Thank you for having me. On behalf of New York Life Insurance Company and the more than 1,100 African-American market agents and managers that we have around the country, who wake up every day with a pride, a passion, purpose, and commitment to create and empower our African American community with the resources necessary to create multi-generational wealth. I am honored to be here to say thank you to Mayor Kasim Reed and Councilman Clarence T. Martin for proclaiming today $50 billion Empowerment Plan Day here in the city of Atlanta. As the founder and creator of the Empowerment Plan, I appreciate both of these leaders for seeing the vision with me and for using their positions of leadership to shine a light on the looming racial wealth gap that we have here in America, a gap that we in the African American Market Unit at New York Life are intending to help close. You see, I'm especially proud of, and if I may take a quick second to recognize two individuals from New York Life, Ms. Geraldine Dodson and Agent Isaac Onu, for their hard work in pulling together the events for today and getting us recognized. They and their managing partner, Puneet Seth, who you will hear from in a little bit, have been loyal supporters of the $50 billion Empowerment Plan since its onset. And I'm proud and both humbled with these individuals for their part of being on the leadership team to drive the initiative here in Atlanta. You see, I want to let you know that this is not a story about New York Life's products and processes, but rather a story of our collective effort to ignite a financial education and wealth-building movement in the Black community. 3.5 years ago, we launched a 5-year initiative called the $50 billion Empowerment Plan. It holds a clear destination to which we are heading, and that is to create $50 billion of protection and future income into our African American community by touching the lives of 200,000 African Americans over the next 5 years and showing them the long-term impact and value of owning at least $250,000 of life insurance. Not a $5,000 policy like Big Mama had. Now, not a $50,000 policy like my parents had as one times their salary. I'm talking about seeing our economic value to ourselves and our families to the tune of a minimum of $250,000. Because 200,000 people out of 43 million, which should be a drop in the bucket, with a minimum of $250,000 of life insurance, will create a collective $50 billion of tax-free future income for ourselves. This is the potential of what we have here. This is what I've seen in the home office of New York Life, sitting in our cultural marketing group for the 12 years that I've been there. I sit amongst the Chinese, Vietnamese, Korean, Hispanic, and Indian markets and see how other races, religions, and ethnic groups use tools and strategies to create wealth for themselves in ways we don't even know we don't know exist. And so I'm proud to say that 3.5 years into the initiative, we've crossed the mark of $22 billion towards the $50 billion plan in the African American community. Our goal is to place $10 billion more this year and $20 billion more next year to reach the $50 billion mark. And this is not about taking money out of the community. This is about building it for us, by us, to put back into the community. I was at a conference last week with 200 African American agents in Orlando. And I was fortunate to have two new agents share that they were able to deliver $1 million checks to the spouses of the clients that they had as they passed last year. So we're seeing this happen. We're seeing this wealth transfer start to happen into the families and the businesses that we touch. And with the encouragement of the leaders like Mayor Reed, Councilman Martin, and the constituents here in Atlanta leading the way, we will become not only the children of the dream, it is our intent to become the dream generation. So I want to let you know that this proclamation received today is a huge boost to our efforts to promote this around the country. So again, I thank you. And this is even a greater story than the $50 billion that we're creating. This is the continuation of the original mission of Cyrilla McSween, the first Black agent hired at New York Life, ahead of any other major life insurance company in the industry back in 1957, a time he couldn't even be in the office because segregation was still on. What Mr. McSween's life was about was empowering his Black community. As a record-breaking New York Life agent for 26 years, he helped families to create estates for themselves and financial legacies for their children. And that was in the era, and we were talking about just now with Ambassador Young, of debit policies, he called it. It was just burial policies that our community was sold. He was about making a difference. And this initiative today is about making a difference in our time. As many of you may or may not know, Mr. McSween took on a larger mission, and he joined Dr. Martin Luther King and Andrew Young as treasurer of their movement to create social equality for Black Americans in the 1960s. These are the shoulders on which we stand so that we can impact the next 50 years. We are carrying the torch of Dr. King, of Ms. McSween and Mayor Young with this education and Black wealth movement, hoping to forever change the financial landscape of our communities for generations to come. And with your help broadcasting our message through social media and other platforms, we hope to transform our community, which has been heavily focused on being consumers, to the tune of $1 trillion a year. We earn and spend, but what this initiative is about is becoming wealth builders by leveraging what some would call the greatest financial product ever created. We can help pay for college educations, down payments for new homes, startup capital investments for new businesses, and I believe even eradicate poverty in our community forever. This is the power of the tool that we're talking about. You see, what Mr. McSween believed, and what I also believe, is that the problem in our community is not drugs, it's not crime, it's not non-nuclear households. The problem in our community is the lack of opportunity. And by generating $50 billion of future income, we are creating wealth. We're creating financial legacies, and most importantly, we're creating opportunities. When we shift our habits as a community to that being that of wealth creators and begin to realize the rewards of the $50 billion that we create, we will no longer be known as the #1 consumer in America, but the #1 legacy and wealth creator in America. That's the vision that I have. This wealth will allow us to invest in the futures of our families, our schools, our colleges, our churches, and our historic institutions in many parts of the country are struggling right now. We can make that difference to make the long-term dreams of Dr. King, Mr. McSween, and Mayor Young a reality today. So again, I thank the community leaders and the New York Life ambassadors here in the city of Atlanta for embracing the $50 billion Empowerment Plan and for helping us to create legacies and opportunity here in Atlanta through this work. I want to thank you all very much for your time today. Power to Atlanta and power to the 50B. Thank you.
I think that deserves a standing applause. If everyone would just stand up and remain standing as I introduce our next guest, the 55th Mayor of Atlanta, the 14th U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Ambassador Andrew Young. Don't let it die, don't let it die.
You know, one of the things we've always focused on in this city is that the development of wealth and riches be shared by all concerned. And I think we've done as good a job of that as any city in the world, maybe better than most cities in the world. We have made more people rich in this city than any other place I know. I must confess, though, that while I understood, for instance, in the building of this facility, it was built by 50-50 black and white contractors. They were $4 million below the next bid, but we still got sued. and the airport. That airport has generated literally billions of dollars, and the last time I heard a count, there were about 240,000 jobs that were related to that airport. That's what we call the Atlanta way. We have made a lot of people rich. The problem is we have not made a lot of people wealthy. And I think that's the issue that starts today. I had a policy from from New York Life Insurance Company, from Cirillo McSween, who was the treasurer of SCLC out of Chicago. But on $6,000 a year, which Martin Luther King paid us, it was kind of hard to generate wealth. And then you all didn't pay me but $50,000 a year to be mayor. And by that time, I had 3 kids in college, so I'm lucky to be alive and well. But that's not necessary for my children or your children. That what we're talking about now is the consolidation of the riches of this community into a situation where we are no longer working for money, but money is working for us. And that's the difference between being rich and being wealthy. When you're rich, you're working for money. When you're wealthy, your money is working for you. And I think that's something that we have got to teach, we have got to learn, and we've got to make sure that this opportunity of $50 billion invested in our communities is invested wisely, and that is used to roll over economic opportunity for our children and our children's children. Money doesn't go anywhere. You can throw it away, but usually if you invest it, it is earning more money almost anywhere you put it. And the thing about insurance wealth is you don't lose it if you die. It comes back into the community, into your heirs, and hopefully into your churches and into the historically black colleges that educated us and our parents and grandparents. And so we've got a lot of work to do. We've integrated everything but the money. And that was where Dr. King gave his life, in the Poor People's Campaign. He was trying to find ways for poor people to be a part of the mainstream of the American economic dream. You can't do that as an employee. You can only do that as an investor and a saver. And I want to thank New York Life for conceiving of this, bringing it to us, and hopefully we will develop it to the point where we will have the resources. We had them at one time. There was no problem in building churches because you could go to Atlanta Life and Atlanta Life would finance the churches. And yet that network has fallen apart. And we need to develop a wealth-producing network. And I want to thank New York Life for giving us the opportunity to share in the growth and development, because we're not just talking about Atlanta's economy. We're talking about a growing world economy, which Warren Buffett says has got to grow because the population is going to grow. And so if we want to be a part of that growth, then we've got to find a way to be investors and savers and wealth generators. And I want to thank you very much for joining us. And thanks C.T. Martin, who's the councilman who essentially has kept us active in this field. And I'm still grateful to him, because when you see my name up on a street, I never thought of that. CT thought of that. And it embarrasses me almost, but it also makes me kind of proud when other people say, "Oh, I saw your name up on the street." I said, "Yeah, okay." But it means something to them, but it shouldn't mean too much to me. What would mean something to me is for this city to be a wealth generator as well as a generator of expenditures and consumer goods. Thanks, and God bless you.
Wow. Well, I think Ambassador Andrew Young pretty much introduced 24-year tenured Councilman C.T. Martin.
Basically, protocol has been established. So my job is a little easy. I want to say good morning to everyone. To Ambassador Young and to Reverend Warnock, who I call the Action Man, and our esteemed guests from New York. I bring you greetings from Mayor Cassine Reed and the members of the Atlanta City Council. It is a pleasure to join you to talk about a subject that's too often is overlooked. To put it simply, generational wealth builds a family legacy. Why do so many families start over each generation while others do not? Today, it's an honor for me to present you with this proclamation, honoring your worthy efforts to improve the lives of generations to come. We really, as a side note, I say that we can give an extra applause to Andy. If you understand Atlanta, you would know that it was his vision to move this city, and it was his work to make sure that the Olympics was here. There were 17 African-American nations that Andy had a relationship with, that he was able to do what I am sometime able to do in the council, and that's to get the vote. You can talk all the smack you want to, but if you cannot get that 8th vote or the 10th vote, a whole lot does not happen. So it was Ambassador Young who put the votes together for them to say, Atlanta! All of y'all remember that, right? That's what they said that night. And as the ambassador said, we got a lot of work to do, but we got to make this happen. So I want to thank the young man, Brother Mitchell, for dreaming, and he's now working on his dream, and all of you that's committed to help him with his dream and to help New York Life. Now, what they asked me to do is to read this proclamation. It says, in honor of New York Life Community Empowerment Plan, whereas the Atlanta City Council is pleased to join New York Life in a national campaign to change the financial future of African Americans throughout the Atlanta region, and whereas starting in 2011, the New York Life Community Empowerment Plan is a national initiative to create a collective 50 billion of protection and generally tax-free future income throughout African American communities around the country. And whereas the pause of this initiative is right here, New York Life, 1,110 African American